Okay, the meeting is now called to order. First, we got departmental reports. We got any questions or concerns from the departmental report? Any of the board members? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the treasurer's report. We got any concerns or questions about the treasurer's report? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to public expression. We got anybody here for public expression tonight? Okay, moving right along.
Hang on just a second. Did you get your,
Yes, we
okay.
Approval of minutes, October 3rd, 2024 recess meeting, and October 15th, 2024 regular meeting.
Motion approved.
They got a motion?
Second.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next we got payroll, county administrator reports and payroll warrants have been issued, and approval of disbursements.
Make a motion to pay the bills.
Okay, got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next we'll go on to delegations. First we have from FEMA, and I apologize if I pronounce this incorrectly, but Carly Janice Whiskey.
I'll take it.
That's a lot of letters.
It's a lot of letters, yeah, and don't even get me started on the Polish pronunciation of it. So thank you so much for having me here today. Can you hear me, by the way? So I should start with that. Awesome. So my name is Carly Januszewski. I am here with Intergovernmental Affairs from FEMA Region 3. And so my purpose here today is to share a few things with you all today. So my biggest thing that I wanted to hammer home is that the deadline for individual assistance applications is December 2nd, so that's coming up very soon. So if you yourselves, constituents, friends, family, are interested in applying or have questions about it, please make sure that they get their applications in by then. We just had DSA wrap up. DSA is Disaster Survivor Assistance, and they're kind of like boots on the ground, walking around house to house asking if anyone wants to apply. So that just wrapped up, but we do have in-person opportunities to apply as well, namely disaster recovery centers, DRCs. So there's one in Scott County that is, and I just Google Maps it, a 23-minute car ride from here. So that's an opportunity. There are other DRCs in other counties, but they're about an hour and a half away, 2 hours away. So that would be your best bet. We also have, you can also call. You can go to disasterassistance.gov, and there's also an app if that interests anyone. And if you know anyone who's also not sure what the status of their application is, if they've been waiting for a bit, they're more than welcome to go to that DRC or call that number so they can get an application, an update on their application status. And then let me just make sure I got everything. Oh, and I did bring some products today. Things like the 4 ways to apply, which I just went through, that's a flyer. And then I also have a news release on getting reimbursements on heaters and technology like that. And then I also brought along some manila packets of hazard mitigation information for anyone who wants to mitigate their home against future events like the one that you folks just had. And those are all on the back pew back there. So if anyone here today is interested in that information, that is available to you. And finally, if anyone has any questions for me for FEMA regarding Hurricane Helene, County Administrator Robbie Wright does have my contact information. My email's been, people have been getting bounce back emails from my email, so my phone number would be the best way to get in touch with me. And I can either make sure to contact subject matter experts to get your questions answered, or pass you on to someone who can assist with registration questions, or even if you've got questions. I was talking to someone yesterday regarding getting paperwork completed. They had questions on that. So that's something we can assist with. And unfortunately, I do have about an hour and a half drive back, so I will be heading out shortly. But again, County Administrator Roger Wright does have my information for anyone who needs it.
I've just got one question. I got personally in here that was, need to ask you a question. Is it possible for him to, I guess, if nobody else has any questions and we're done, if he can ask you a question probably outside? I don't guess it needs to be public or anything.
Yeah, anyway, I could pass my number on to them, or I could just, whatever, either way that works.
The deadline, you said the date was what?
December
The
2nd.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Have
Yeah.
you had a lot of interest from calls from Lee County?
Could you say that again?
Have you had a lot of calls and interest from Lee County residents?
I know that we.
What was it, 43 claims from Lee
Mhm.
County? Is that what it was?
That I'm actually not sure.
Actually, to date, I think the last figure that I had was 76
Mm.
for individual assistance on homes, that sort of thing. There was over 200 claims for agriculture. So, yeah.
But the agriculture's not with FEMA though, so
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of wind damage, like the debris and trees, that we heard, that people were reporting to us. But yeah, that is with the debris removal is with the Commonwealth.
Oh, okay. I was thinking that fell into USDA or whatever department, okay.
There's a couple of other agencies that are involved in this too. You've got VDM and, you know, what you was talking about there. The Extension Office has been involved in a lot of things, you know, doing some disaster recovery, like trying to get hay to places that have lost hay because their barns got blown down, that sort of thing. But there's, not every, of the agriculture, there was a little over 200. Not all of those have been approved. I think as far as the individual assistance on like housing, that sort of thing, there's been like 75 or so, I think, applications for it. I don't know what the approval rate is on that.
But they've been a tremendous amount of hay from Lee County been sent out of here. I mean, farmers has really stepped up around here and in the community, and like I say, they've several loads out of here.
Well, actually, I think FEMA actually deserves a little kudos with this too, because during this area, you know, everybody knew where we were having trouble, you know, in the Stickleville area, Jasper, there was some places, you know, down Rose Hill area that was hit pretty hard. And so we had these little trouble areas that we sent them to, and then they actually went to a lot more areas than that. Talking to some of the team that was on the ground, they would maybe be driving from one place to another and see maybe a tree or two that has blown down, and then they work that whole community. So they have done a tremendous job trying to get the word out to people.
Anybody else got anything? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, everyone.
Be safe on your drive back.
Thank you.
Okay, next, we got disaster and recovery relief. Jim Curso.
Yes, sir.
Closing up?
Yep. Good evening, everyone. I am Jim Curso. I'm a public affairs specialist with the Small Business Administration, Office of Disaster Recovery and Resilience. And we too have been here as a result of the expedited presidential declaration that came down here in Lee and many of the surrounding counties as a result of Tropical Storm Helene. Initially, we were here in Lee County just offering our economic injury disaster loans because Lee was a contiguous county to the primary county, to the presidential declaration, but then you met the designation to be a primary county, which is when I came down and met Robbie and filled him in on what we offer. So we are very similar to FEMA. We're in the FEMA disaster recovery centers with our customer service reps, offering our long-term low-interest disaster loan program for homeowners and renters as well as businesses. We adhere to the same deadline, December 2nd, for folks to apply for our business physical damage loans, which have a cap of $2 million. Interest rate is 4% and less. for those. Terms on those are 7, 15, and 30 years. We also offer home physical damage loans for homeowners, up to $500,000 for damage to the structure and $100,000 for damage to the contents. And that $100,000 can be for a homeowner or a renter, so both could get that if a homeowner were to apply, if they were to have damage to the home. And again, the deadline for those who apply is December 2nd. And then we also offer our economic injury disaster loans for any business that had any kind of a setback, couldn't get to their clients, or their clients couldn't get to them as a result of the storm. And the deadline to apply for those loans, which have to have a cap of $2 million, is not until July 1st of 2025. Gives a business a business owner time to assess to see if they had a loss tied back to the disaster period of, again, September 25th to October 3rd, and they can apply too for those. Again, we encourage folks to come into one of the recovery centers, right? The nearest is here in Duffield, next county over. But they could go to any disaster recovery center or business recovery centers. Now, we have one of our business recovery centers in Galax, so that's a bit of a haul. But they can still come to one of our centers. They can apply online. The flyers that I've provided, someone just has to shoot the QR code. It'll take them right to sba.gov/disaster. All of our forms are there, the fact sheet, everything that I've provided to y'all. So again, we encourage folks to come on in and talk to us. Folks may be a little skeptical because it's a loan as opposed to a grant that FEMA provides, but again, FEMA provides the initial help early on, and then we help with the long-term recovery. There is no fee to apply for the loan. There's no obligation to take it if it's offered, and you have 60 days to decide if you want to take it or not. So it's for fees, any damages above and beyond what insurance and what other sources may pay. And we also offer mitigation coverage for up to 2 years after the fact, once the loan is disbursed. So again, we encourage folks to come on in. We don't look at credit score. Folks might not want to come in because they say they have a high credit score. We don't look at that. We look at their ability to repay. We are very flexible and willing to work with folks and want help. And we do want to help the Lee County residents.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we got VDOT update, Mr. Alan Sumter.
Good evening, everyone. I'd intended to get a copy of the report to Robbie back a couple of weeks ago, but I'm gonna hand it out tonight. This is, give this out and pass it around if you would. Had to have a medical procedure done, so I wasn't out for a few days. Again, I'm Alan Sumter. I'm the residency administrator for the Wise Residency, Virginia Department of Transportation. We cover Lee, Scott, Wise, and Dixon County. And my purpose of being here for you tonight is I told you all that I was going to try to come about once a quarter to provide you with just a little bit of an update and then see if you have anything that you want me to be checking on, and just some information for you here, and I'll run through it here for the greater good of the audience here. So I'll actually start with the accomplishments first. As the folks here that have been from the agencies have been talking about, we've been rather involved with the hurricane cleanup since it occurred. As you know, we have two headquarters in Lee County. We have the Ewing headquarters and we have the Dryden headquarters. The Dryden headquarters was the one that was hit the most severe out of the two locations that we had. We had an estimated right around 200 trees or so that fell in the Ewing area, which we maintain basically from the high school to the west of the county. I'm talking about Lee High School to the west, and then Dryden covers up in the Keokee area, Jasper, Stickleyville, all in that area. And we had about 1,200 trees down. That was just totally an estimate. Nobody counted them up one by one, but that's kind of the guess that our guys had. And we have been cleaning up that debris. We had around 3,000 cubic yards of debris, and we have been storing that at the old Russell lumber yard, and we're going to chip that at a later date. We have contractors on board district-wide who are going to be doing that. And in Dryden, we picked up about 20,000 cubic yards of debris. We had contract crews that have assisted us. We also had some crews that came in from the eastern part of the state that are VDOT crews. We call them emergency response HURT teams, we call them. HURT training, emergency relief team. So they came down and helped us from out of the Richmond district, and they were here and worked for about 3 weeks as well. Other things that I'll just report on, these are some things that from talking to some of you or seeing you, or that's been passed along to us like through like other government folks such as the sheriff as well. There was the Boomax work. Mr. Leonard up in the Keoki Robbins Chapel area there, 625, 766, 61. We took care of that. I think you and I had spoken about some of that, and the sheriff had that was taken care of. And we also worked on getting the patch done, completed there at Mark Carter's on the 606. We took care of that as well. Mr. Kidwell, have on down here in project, we completed the Thomas Walker project. That's all wrapped up and has been complete. We also, back in the summer, it's still on here, we completed the Klondike project. And we have the two 603 Back Valley and 604 Blackwater Road that we'll be working on start next spring and summer. We're currently working on getting all of our environmental clearances and everything.
On 603, you're going to take it all the way to the Tennessee line?
I don't have that right in front of me, but I think that that's the case. I'll let you know if that's different. Okay.
One quick question, while you brought up TW, the speed limit change there in front of the school.
Yeah, we weren't able to do that because our traffic engineers were not able to determine that it met any of the criteria for reduction there.
What's the criteria, do you know?
It's a criteria that we have to, primarily one is that we have to base our speed limits on the 85 percentile speed. And then also they look at the accident ratio that's occurred and whether they feel like reducing the accidents will improve the condition related to what's causing it.
I'm not picking on you by no means, but there's been several accidents there. Does the community, what they say matter to anybody?
It's all an engineering thing that's based
Sure.
on, and
So there's a school there that's requesting, and a business across the road, and everybody that lives down in front of the school is begging to get that thing slowed down.
And I can tell you that from our office, we have pushed that concern along, and the engineers look at that, and they, it's kind of like same thing as a legal thing that's kind of in the realms, kind of like Miss Muncie does with her job.
Sure.
They make those recommendations on things that's based with their licenses and clearances that they feel that they can support. And one of the problems that gets into there, that if we change the speed limit and it doesn't meet that, and then somebody has an accident, they actually can use that against us at a later date and say, well, you know, I wrecked here, but the speed limit was wrong, and or I was given a ticket, and I want a copy of the speed limit, and just us saying, okay, well, we did it because the community did so, doesn't hold up for us. So that we get into a lot of things there with the speed limits. But I think we've shared back the reports and things back. I don't know if it's been passed along to you, but it hasn't. I can give you a copy of what we've been able to pass along. But we have asked them, and I know they've looked at it twice on our request. We asked them to look at it, and then we asked them to go back and say, would you please look at it again?
Do you have any pointers in a direction to help get that done?
Well, again, it's all based on,
Some insider information, I
Yeah.
should say.
I don't really know of any at this point. I mean, we've got the report, and the report says, you know, what exists and what, you know, the factors are on it. And so that's all I can really point to at this point.
It's funny that the intersection that was changed at Thomas Walker was because of some wrecks there.
Yeah, I
And
know.
and that's the same area that, to go from 55 at least down to 35 or 45.
And then we have, at times when we do the improvements, then that's one of the things they'll say, well, we did the improvement in order to help make it safer, so that supports leaving the speed limit as is. We've had that happen a couple of different times. We had, like another one, I don't think any of y'all were involved in, but also over at Woodway at Elk Knob, at the school there. We redid that intersection over there, and we had a lot of calls for traffic signals and further reductions of speed limit. And the project was the basis for trying to do that, so we've not been able to do anything else there either. But again, if you need anything further on that, I can try to get it for you, but that's just, I'm not trying, as you said, I'm not trying to stand here and be difficult about it. I would just go on what our criteria, what we have that's based on us. And one of the things, again, is the number of accidents that are attributable to the speed, and also the what the 85 percentile speed is. And those are national standards. It comes out of what's called the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, and that's adopted as a national standard for speed limits.
So my last question, like when you turn on my road, it's a side road, state owns it all the way, you know, to the end of state maintenance. It's not posted in the speed limit. What is the speed limit on that road?
If it's not posted, it's statutory 55.
That's what I thought.
And again, if you were to request it to be looked at, then it would be looked at through all those different factors to determine whether or not there was a basis for lowering it. Now, all the roads that we are building though, and this is a Code of Virginia thing, like the Klondike Road, and those are posted like as a statutory 35 because they are built as rural rustic roads. So you get into Code of Virginia on a lot of different things that's there with that. Like you even have in towns and municipalities that have got the authority to just say that, okay, we want speed limit to be a certain 25 or 35, and that's based on things that are in the code.
So back to Roger's question, any help, where can I tell the people of this community down here to call, complain, beg?
Well,
Any of the above,
I
who
mean, you
do they
can
need to
call in,
contact?
but I mean, we're just gonna explain it to them
Sure.
as that is right now. I mean, they can.
So call where?
Well, the easiest thing would be to call the 1-800-367-ROAD. And then I'll have my staff sit and call and talk to every one of them that calls in.
Yeah, obviously I can't help them, so they're gonna have to call somebody.
Yeah, I understand. If I can, on the report, there's double-sided, on the second side of it, it has the number of work orders, and this is from July 1st through October 31st. These are what we call the high-ticket work orders, the big ones that we have that generate the usually scheduled work, things like mowing and patching and things of that nature. And so you see, we've had right around 23 work orders that are still open. We've had 187 total, and 164 of them were closed. And then one other interesting thing that I wanted to just put on here, or we get a lot of questions from board members and things about it, is that that is the 2024 pavement schedule work that we perform. Those are the overlays and resurfacing that we did, like to go back and repave a road that that needed to be repaved as far as maintenance. Not new paving, not in the same category or even the same funds as the rural rustics that we do. But these are roads that we just went in and either put the latex overlay, which I describe it most often as kind of like a sealer, like people put on their driveways to protect and extend the life of it. Usually gives us 5 to 6 more years with each surfacing that we do. And then also some of them were just are roads that we did go back in and pave over. So several different roads that are on there. That's the work that we did. We are in the process now. We've submitted the schedule work for next year, and our superintendents submit their request, like out of the Dryden office, now the Ewing office, what they feel like needs to be resurfaced to help them. And then also, there's once they do that, they're evaluated. Pavement resurfacing is done actually as kind of like a scientific type process. They have a truck that has sensors and sonar type of equipment that go out, and they actually evaluate the pavement, and it's given a score, and based on that score, if it falls like below 60, then it meets the criteria for it to be resurfaced. So we're working on that, and at a later date, once we have that work bid out and it's awarded to contractors, I can provide that to you next year as well, so you'll see what we're going to reschedule, or resurface, I'm sorry. So I always come to these meetings and feel like I'm too long, so that's kind of what I wanted to present you. So I'm just going to have it now and ask you if there's anything that you need me to take back and ask our staff to check on. And we're going to be continuing to work on doing some road clearing with boom axing through the winter, as we call it. That's the bush hog, that's on the end of the arm of the tractor. Try to do some of that as we can. We've got a little bit of paving, patching that we're trying to get finished up. We've been told asphalt plants may be closing down in a couple of weeks, and so we're going to try to get that finished up, and crossing our fingers, but they're telling us we might see a little bit of the white stuff fly toward the end of the week, and we're already getting prepared for that. Temperatures will be up on the roadways, but that could get down cold enough that some bridges freeze, so we're anticipating probably having some folks out tomorrow night and the next couple of days. So do y'all have anything you need me to take and have checked on?
I just got one thing.
Go ahead.
If you don't care to try to save a couple buckets of asphalt and putting that hole out there between Appalachia and Keokee,
Okay.
because I've hit that thing several times. And
Is that on?
it's right there where the road it fell in. It just, I think it'd be north of it just a little bit, but you can't miss it. It's in the, if you're going toward Keokee from Appalachia, you've got to go out of the road. You got to go across the line, or you got to go over where the hillside fell off.
Okay. Okay.
As far as the boom axe thing there,
Mhm.
bush hog, whatever, I'd like to see that thing run 24/7 if you had the manpower, because it could actually really be used. And the one up on my end, Joe Hawkins, he does a great job. And first thing, over here at the Hurricane Bridge, we used to have a dump site over there, and somebody's taken it upon themselves to dump brush there. If the county was to clean that brush up and haul it off, would they by any chance get you all to guardrail that off right there and keep people out of there?
I can ask and see.
Or
We can at
concrete
least try to
barrier?
get some, I know we can at least get some no dumping signs up.
Or, well, that may cause a racket, dig a ditch across it, keep them from down in there. And one other thing, several years ago, the county supervisors had a meeting, and I wish we could do that again, and maybe we can look at that. But on the deer and dead animal there, roughly how much time do you all spend, say, in Lee County, picking up the carcasses?
Well, if they are in the travel lane, and if we can, we try to go out on the primary and get them, when we're become aware of them. If they're on the side of the road, then we usually, now with things that we've been having going on, try to make a weekly run toward the end of the week.
They're everywhere right
I
now.
know that they are, and it's not just here, it's in all of our counties.
But my whole point in thing is, I would like to see the board, if we could schedule a hearing sometime and with the public and try to present something to the game commission or whatever, however they're labeled, to try to change the amount of deer, the sex of deer, to try to alleviate some of this problem that we have. I mean, the body shops is just, I'm sure they're just staying, they're probably loving the deer.
Year before last, I had 2 and shot within, I got 1 back, and within 3 weeks, I had the other one back.
It's with the sheriff's department of a night with them guys. I mean, it's bad. So, but those 2 things is all I have.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I would like for them to look at this intersection right here. This red light, there's a lot of semi-traffic that comes from the west end of the county, and it turns to go across, 58 to get over to Scott County. And I'm sure that's what they're running there. And then the last week, we've had 3 incidents with semis. Yeah. Yeah, actually 1 turned over.
Yeah. We'll get it taken. See what.
Having the drive nights area there off Cherry Tree, which turns down to Eaton's Drive, or that's state maintained, the what's left of that gravel back there, correct?
The gravel part, I don't think is state maintained. I have to check and see. Which street is it? I think I know that come all the way down to the bottom and then goes back and forward.
When you come across the top of Drive Nights,
Yeah.
and there it's left onto Cherry Tree. They just completed the asphalting there, but there's some citizens back there concerned about when they just want to possibly do the rest of it.
Okay, there is a section in there, I don't think that is state maintained, but I'll have to check to be sure.
Yeah, there's a sign at the very end, and I think there was, I actually do think that is state. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah,
We'll look at it.
It'd be unusual for us to take it with it if it's gravel,
Yeah.
but I'll check it and see, and I will I'll go through him and he can get back to you all, okay? Okay. Now, Ms. Haley, just so you'll know, I did speak with her. She has a couple of roads that she's interested in coming into the state system. I sent her a link, I'm gonna follow back up with her on the process. You know that bringing a road into the state system comes through the new addition process. A couple of general guidelines, of course, she has the usage there with the trailer park being there. You've got to have at least 3 homes. She's got more than that. It has to be more than 20 years old is another criteria that has to be there. And then also, it has to be able to be constructed to state standards. And then with that comes what kind of price tag that comes with that. And then with the funding that's available, which we have, we put, the majority of our funds that we have goes through to the rural rustics, the roads that are already in the system, and you can put like up to 5% of that allocation. So you take 5% of, say, 600,000, and you're talking, a very small amount that's there. It just takes a while for it to happen. There are some different alternatives that other counties use. Just throwing those out here is that some counties that have, which we don't have here anymore, but some that have like co-severance, use co-severance funds, try to get a revenue sharing match, which is a dollar for dollar match, which the county would have to come up with. And that could be basically for any type of qualifying project. If you wanted to do more rural rustics or whatever, then you match dollar for dollar and apply and identify the routes. And then another thing that's becoming more and more in a lot of the counties is that of like doing revenue sharing, but then creating like a special tax district as well for that. So what happens there with that is like, and I've seen it most commonly used in places like the size of like Dryden Heights as an example, is that you have a lot of folks that are in there within that and say it's going to cost, say $250,000 to bring the road in or to construct it to state standard. Then the county would then create like a special tax district just for that location right there, and then apply for the half the matching with revenue sharing on that, and then say like over 30 years, then the residents in there would be paying, just those residents would be paying on, say, on their property tax collection there with that. And I'm just passing that along to you on what's done in there, but several counties now are doing that type of thing. That doesn't affect the entire county, it just affects, like, in case like we was talking about Dryden Heights, it used to be like that area there, where in her case, the roads that are there with hers. Okay. Does anybody else have anything? Okay, so if not, then my plan will be to come back to see you again in February.
Sounds
Okay?
good.
That still meets to y'all for me to come back once a quarter then visit, and then of course always some of you that I think that may like me, I'll give you a telephone number too. Y'all already have my phone number, so if you need something, y'all can just pass it through him, and I promise you I'll get it checked out. Okay? All right.
Appreciate you.
Y'all have a good night.
Okay, next we got the Library of Virginia, Nan Carmack.
Evening, gentlemen.
You need to move that.
Share with you all the presentation that I have for you. Let's see, just got one. This one. Thank you. Well, let's see, and this one's. Thank you for letting me come tonight to talk a little bit about Code of Virginia as relates to public libraries and your Lee County Public Library and the Lonesome Pine Regional Library System. I will start off by saying I am not a lawyer. Ms. Muncie can guide me if I go astray. But I did want to talk a little bit about Virginia Code for Libraries and how it may have an impact on your decision making regarding Lee County Public Library. The second page demonstrates what I'm going to talk about here tonight: the benefits of regional libraries, the code related to libraries, state aid for libraries that is funded by our Virginia General Assembly, Lonesome Pine Regional Library's fiscal situation as it relates to state aid, and what state aid might look like if Lee County decided to go out on its own for a library system. So that's what we're going to talk about. The next page is the rationale behind why the Virginia Code supports regional libraries. Largely, it's based on economy of scale and efficiency for the taxpayer's dollar. In a regional library where you all collaborate and collectively purchase things like toilet paper, like the integrated library system, which is the software that runs like the supermarket. You know, you zap a thing and it comes up, it's an inventory management system. Materials. Participating in a large library system like Lonesome Pine offers the user far more materials than a county could provide on its own. And avoids that duplication of effort where you've got multiple counties doing the same thing in triplicate, or in your case, 6 counties in one city, 6 times over.
And it creates a larger pool of resources. If you get all the county's monies together, you can provide more databases, more programs. You can have a more knowledgeable staff that trade knowledge, and share skills. And then user access. We all know folks who live in one county, work in another. They might be in one county when that library is open, but not when their home county library is open. So regional libraries really allow for a broad spectrum of benefits. And that was something that back in the 1970s, when the Virginia Assembly began putting forward the public library movement, was important to them. Because it all leads to efficiency of the taxpayer dollar and the taxpayers being able to access those libraries. So the next page shows you the relevant chapters and chapter and verse, if you will, of code sections that are related to libraries. These all date from 1970. I won't read them. There's one on this page that I want to draw to your attention, and that is 42.1 through 42, withdrawal from regional library system. I know that, like many counties, y'all are facing revenue shortages. This is not new. I've regrettably been making this presentation in a lot of counties lately. But this withdrawal from regional library system, so I have the letter that Mr. Wright, at your behest, sent to Ms. Steffi back in September, suggesting that you may not be able to contribute to the Lonesome Pine Regional Library in 26-27. So unfortunately, that letter to Ms. Steffi does not meet the requirement for withdrawal. If you look at your contract with the other localities, the final paragraph, second to final, the penultimate paragraph says, no county or city participating in the regional library system will withdraw herefrom without 2 years' notice to other participating counties and cities. So you have to let your partners know. It's not just Ms. Steffi. So know that that's something that you need to communicate with those other boards of supervisors and presumably city council for Norton. If you were inclined to leave sooner, you'd need their permission to do so. So I just wanted to clarify that and make sure y'all had the best information so that you could make your choices about your contract in an informed and timely manner. But you're certainly invited to check out those code sections as you find it necessary. It's not terribly exciting. The second page demonstrates the Virginia Commonwealth and the General Assembly's commitment to regional library systems. It's a carrot and a stick. In this section of code 42.1-48, they articulate the state aid formula. And in that formula, you can see in the highlighted sections that I'm not sure shows up in your copy, in the very first bullet point, that last phrase, plus 10 cents per capita for each additional jurisdiction in a regional library system. Again, on the square mileage, plus an additional $20 per square mile for libraries serving more than one political jurisdiction or regional library. So you can see the code incentivizes localities to participate in that collective and collaborative agreement of regional library system. So I wanted to spend some time talking about why. And I've done a fiscal analysis for your circumstance. But before we get into that, there's an important part of code on the next page that isn't as publicly recognized. I'm sure Mr. Wright is duly familiar with the Virginia Administrative Code. And this is the subpart of the code that dictates how the state operates in certain ways. And it dictates how we allocate state aid. So the state aid process is that the General Assembly funds it. We're at the highest level of funding we've been since the year 2000, and we are at 91% of full funding. The General Assembly has committed to full funding by next year. So for the first time in 25 years, by the time that happens, we'll have gotten more money allocated to public libraries from the General Assembly than we have since this piece of code came to be, I believe, in the mid-90s. So this piece of code, the administrative code, holds the carrot. Well, the incentive is the carrot. This piece of code shows you the stick. Local operating expenditures have to be at least 50% of the median expenditure for libraries in Virginia, which is now $14 and some cents. We'll get more into that later. And that has to be either from taxation or an endowment. Libraries obtaining aid for the first time, or if you fall below that 50% median, gets put on a plan. And you have 5 years within that plan to regain the status of reaching that median expenditure. And if that does not happen, state aid is withdrawn. So not only would you not get state aid, you would also not benefit from the federal assets that your libraries use, like our Job Search Now database that we, the Library of Virginia, provide on your behalf with this money. The Homework Help Now, the job skill learning platform called Universal Class, where people can upskill for their careers. These things would no longer be available to you either, if the library went below that state aid portion. So the next part of the administrative, so that's the stick, right? We gave you the carrot, hey, we're going to incentivize you to be in a regional library. Here's the stick, you can't cut the budget. Or you can't operate without this median level. The second page of the administrative code recognizes that localities go through tough times. We know this, it's cyclical. And that you can still retain your state aid if cuts have been made across the board, but not if you pick on the library. So either everybody gets a cut and you can retain your state aid, but if only the library is cut, that's your state aid is at risk. So libraries, as I mentioned, if they become ineligible for state aid, also become ineligible for assets acquired with federal funds. State aid can be reinstated at such time as the locality regains that median level of expenditure per patron. On the federal funds side, Lee County is in the target district for the Virginia State BEAD, Broadband Equity Access Employment Grant, that we, the Library of Virginia, would be hosting, putting digital navigators in your communities to help your locality and your patrons who are getting the internet on a consistent basis for the first time know how to use it safely, and participate in digital life. That might be at risk if you lose state aid. So that's all of the code related to this. So I wanted to share with you on the next page how Winston Pine Regional Library achieves their median expenditure. So their total expenditures are $1.7 million plus and minus some change, serving 101,000, actually almost 102,000 people. So Winston Pine gets $613,000 plus or minus dollars in state aid. 70% of that, plus or minus, is allocated to Lee County Libraries. So their median expenditure, if you look at all of that, is $16.76. So that is above the 50% median expenditure analysis. The current median statewide is $14.48. So if we turn the page and look at the current library budget for Lee County, you can see that regional expenditure on their behalf coming up to almost $71,000. I'd also point out that E-rate is a federal program, and your exiting the situation may have an impact on your E-rate. Of that, I am not confident, but I would look into that as you're making decisions. So that's what you've got allocated for the coming year. So we turn the page and do some analysis of your current budget. If Lee County were to go into an independent library situation, and assuming that Lee County and Rose Hill contributions would remain level, your total budget would be $201,000 plus or minus dollars, with the expenditure per resident of $9.10, which is obviously below the required 50% median to get state aid. So that's already an issue, because you stand to lose money from the state, and nobody wants to do that. So if you turn the page, you can see that in order to receive state aid, Lonesome Pine on its own would need to spend $119,000 more than you're currently expending to receive your state aid. In that case, Lee County would be placed on a 5-year plan to achieve median expenditure per residence of $14.48. And if you fail to do so, again, you would lose state aid entirely. And turn the page. The state aid formula as applied to Lee County on its own, without Lonesome Pine Regional, 40% of local dollars, using those figures we just looked at, almost $81,000. 40% of that is almost $81,000. If you apply the 30 cents per capita, that's $6,000 some dollars. Plus the $10 per square miles is about $4,000, for a sum total of $91,721. So due to the current underfunding of state aid, your prorated sum would be $91,000 and $91,668. So what does that mean? If you turn the page, your current allocation, yes, is $70,000 from Lonesome Pine. And yes, you would get an additional $20,000 from the state. However, that $20,000, and again, that's assuming you level fund everything that currently is being funded, would not cover the expense of some of the qualifications for state aid, like hiring a library director that has a master's in library science, a cataloger, the person who does all of the coding of the book into that library system, much less that library inventory system, as well as additional resources such as the databases beyond what the state of Virginia provides you that Lonesome Pine currently offers to all of your citizens. So those are the impacts, the causes, the code related, and I'm happy to entertain any questions you might have about that information at this time.
Anybody got any questions?
Yeah, obviously you throw out a lot of numbers here, but.
Yes, sorry about that.
Why can't Rose Hill be open full-time? With this much money coming through that system, you think you would be open full-time?
I'm going to defer that to Ms. Steffi.
And while you're there, what does a qualified director make? What's their salary?
That depends on the locality, and most, I hate to say it, but it's really hard to get new directors into rural counties at this point. You're looking at $60,000 to $70,000 and upwards.
Rose Hill Library, we only have 2 full-time people and 3 part-time people that work. 94% of the money you guys give us goes to salaries. The other 6% goes to run the building. We don't have enough money to hire anybody else. So Rose Hill has 1 worker.
They can't work full-time at Rose Hill though?
We have 2 full-time and 3 part-time people, and if we hire full-time, that's $13,000 extra for benefits. If you're full-time, you have to have health insurance and retirement. So to get a full-time, another full-time employee, it's their salary plus the $13,000, and we don't have that in our budget. With the staff we have now, that's 94% of the budget you give us. So Pennington is open and they have children's programming, they have the space. So we have 2 full-time and 2 part-time at Pennington, and we have 1 part-time at Rose Hill. We can't have programs at Rose Hill because there's no room or space, plus we don't have the staff. To put another full-time person in, we have to have another $13,000 plus the full-time.
I think when that house was donated to the county, Robert?
Yes.
It was in the agreement to have a full-time library there.
For 2 years, we were supposed to be open 40 hours. After the 2 years, we weren't required to anymore.
So what happens if the library doesn't exist? What does the house do there?
Everything in the house goes away and the county keeps the house. It started out in a bookmobile, and the reason they wanted one on that end is because it was such a long drive to Pennington, so they wanted that library there.
So the hours of Rose Hill now is 4 hours a day?
4 days a week. We took Sunday from Pennington and put that day onto Rose Hill.
What's the hours?
We're open Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 12 to 4:30.
Okay.
I would love to have it open full-time, but with the, 94% of what you give us is already in salaries,
Which is 270 something.
230,
230.
230,
237, and they'd asked for 8,000 more this year, I think.
So roughly $240,000 we can't get full-time at Rose Hill.
Not unless you want to close Pennington some more, and that's where all the programs are. And actually, this is interesting, there's more people from Jonesville that come to
But my
programs.
point is, I live 8 miles from Middlesboro. I'm not driving to Pennington to go to the library.
That's why we're-
I'll go to Middlesboro.
4 days a week.
Right, so
But-
I think it would help everybody if it could happen, but that's just my thought.
Right, if you see on total income personnel, it's 94.38% of your budget. And the other things we buy is like electricity, water bills, electric bills, office supplies, that kind of thing.
Does the county own that building? The library?
The buildings, yes.
Is the county liable to keeping it up, roof and stuff like that, maintenance?
we do, yes. Yeah, actually, I went to Pennington, a week or so ago and put gravel in a hole.
With a bucket.
With a bucket.
Right, the libraries are county owned, and a lot of the regional systems, they actually hire the people through the counties. But we decided to hire through the regional office, like your county employees or your school system employees get percentage raises. So the people that makes the most money gets a bigger raise. The way we do it is everybody across the board gets the same raise. So
Does Lee County Schools help fund any programs that they got going on at the library in Pennington?
no,
Have you
but,
asked them to help fund anything going on
no, not the school board.
there? Okay.
And we actually bought Tumble Books and ABC Mouse for the school to use, so we're trying to purchase databases to help the county schools out.
Well, and I can speak to both of those issues a little bit from a Commonwealth perspective. Most regional library systems, the county in which the library building resides owns and maintains the building. That's common throughout regional libraries.
But the school system uses that building more so than the county does.
Yeah, so here's the
I
problem.
think that the two could mesh a little bit and,
You'd think is the right words.
yeah.
Um,
But
the-
have you asked?
So the Department of Ed, the State Department of Ed, pulled out of an agreement, it was a verbal agreement, I acknowledge that, to split the cost of the Homework Help Now live tutoring database that we provide. We bought it first, we, Library of Virginia, bought it first with COVID money, and we paid for it in full the first 2 years. The second year, the Department of Ed still had some COVID money, so they paid for it in full. The subsequent years, we were supposed to split the cost. They reneged, and the only reason we still have that asset now, because like, I don't know about y'all, but if my kid came home with geometry today, I cannot help them. But this Homework Help Now, they can dial up, talk to a certified teacher, and work through the problem. The DOE pulled out of it, and the only reason we still have it is because of the relationship we have with the vendor. He gave us what we could afford for this year and this year only. So the Department of Ed isn't terribly interested in helping libraries, apparently, both on the state level and the public level. And I see this in almost every community I go and talk to.
But they got after-hours tutoring programs they're using your building. So why
That's
would,
between
why
you
would
and the
it?
school board, I guess.
No, my question is, why wouldn't the libraries go and ask the school system for compensation?
So you're saying if the tutors use our meeting room, we should charge them to use the meeting room?
It's worth asking.
You can certainly, I mean, that's allowable to charge for outside groups using
Because there
your
is
state.
some huge grants out there that help pay for this stuff.
Okay.
We've talked about them in these meetings before.
And back to the staff, we have one staff member whose husband is severely ill with cancer, and she's a Rose Hill person. So when she's not there, we have to take somebody from Pennington. And if one of those aren't there, it's leaving one person at each library, and I hate doing that, but
That's not safe.
it's not safe, and that's what we do at Rose Hill quite often is one person's there.
The other thing I'll comment about is that this idea of salary being so expensive, it is. The most expensive thing in the library but indeed the most valuable are its staff. They're what take all those books, all those databases, all that stuff, and turning it into an opportunity for your citizens. Whether that's to take the ASVAB test, whether that's to learn English, whether that's to upskill themselves to then get a new job. If it weren't for the staff, that stuff would just be irrelevant. So staff is expensive, good staff is even more expensive, and then the benefits generally are 30% of any full-time salary. So that's the big challenge in libraries, is paying competent people who are gonna stay and giving them benefits to keep. We've seen this nationally, it's true locally, it is what it is, unfortunately.
And Lee County's blessed, their manager's been there for a while, and the children's programmer's been there for a while, so we're blessed in Lee County to have staff. When I started Lonesome Pine, we had 19 full-time people system-wide, and 11 of them already have over 30 years, so we're seeing some retirements, and that's helping us with the minimum wage increases. I'm losing one in December, one in January, and one in August. So that, losing those long-time employees hurt us really bad, but it's helped us keep our salaries and keep that minimum wage. It was a big jump this last time. We have to pay FICA tax and pension tax and employment tax, health insurance, life insurance. I was shocked because I hadn't worked with the salary side before, so it's $13,000.
And you know, most people don't understand that, but we're faced with that too.
Right.
We have a lot of employees. I mean,
Yeah,
We're your
and
employees.
then people wonder, you know,
right,
how do you keep dishing out money if you don't have it coming in?
right.
And I think Kidwell brought up a good point, you know, and certainly something to look at there. I think that's one of the problems we've had throughout Lee County over the past several years is people are not looking at all the resources available to help out.
Agreed. And again, that's true.
And the
across
library
Commonwealth.
apparently is one of them.
Yes, and Mountain Empire's using Thomas Water at night for adult classes. No reason they couldn't use that library at Rose Hill for adult classes, and they are willing to pay a little bit. But, yeah, I
Would that be
mean,
Mountain Empire?
yes,
Okay, I can go.
yes.
So I didn't mean to come and give you some downers in terms of what's allowed and what's not allowed and what money you might lose. Wanted to make sure you knew your options before you went any further. And I cannot speak more highly of Director Steffi here. She has stepped into some big shoes, but she's making those shoes her size and doing a really good job of it. And so much respect for the work that she and her staff do. I got to see slides today. We're going to go back and hit Pennington Gap so I can be there. I worked in local government for 15 years. I get it. You can only spend where tax revenues bring in. And it's a tough rock to be behind. So I get it, but I also wanted to make sure you had adequate information to base your decisions on. So thank you so much for your time. And if I can ever do anything for you, you see my contact information there on the last slide. I'm delighted to talk to you anytime. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Bill.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Higher Ground Women Recovery Residents.
Pushed out and I can't reach you.
Sorry.
I'm too short. She's petite. I'm petite. You are petite. Well, short, not petite. Hello, my name is Juliana Dennis Barber. I know most of you all. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Thank you all so much for taking some time to hear us out. I think mainly we're just here to introduce ourselves. We have been working, I guess, the last 11 months. Almost 10 months?
About 10, I think.
Yeah. And to open a recovery house for women here in Lee County. We actually purchased a property and in Pennington Gap. It's on Doris Avenue. Most of you all know it as the Providence. Thank you. There's that lithological, just,
That is it.
that's it. So we are very excited. We hope to have it open by December. We have really been touched by the community. They have really been supportive. Okay, so just a little bit about our house. It is going to be a sober living environment for women. We're going to have 8 ladies, and it's basically a landing pad. It's a safe place for them to get back on their feet. I worked, some of you all know, that I worked in the regional jail for 7.5 years. The recidivism rate is astronomical. When I could take a random sample of probably 100 inmates, 99 of them will be repeat offenders. And I mean, we have no resources in Lee County. The closest women's shelter is in Norton.
Other recovery home is in Dickinson, I think
Yeah.
is probably the closest.
Dickinson County, Russell County, but these are all small rural counties, just like we are. So the question that we kind of ask is, well, why not Lee County? We have no resources here for anyone, but much less ladies. It's hard. A lot of them have burnt bridges. A lot of them have nowhere else to go. So they get out of jail, they get out of rehab. The only place they have to go is right back to where they came from. And I mean, it's a very sad situation, and I highly doubt there's anyone in this room who can honestly say that they've not dealt with this, some aspect of this personally. We've all seen it. We've all had loved ones who work at the jail. We may have loved ones who've been in the jail. So this is just a landing pad. We give them a safe place. It's a sober living facility, 100% zero tolerance. They will get on their feet. They will get a GED. We have paired with Mountain Empire. So they will be offered and given priority for the GED program. Other programs, as far as I know.
Associate's degree.
Yes.
They have the opportunity to get an associate's degree for free if they are a resident in our home.
Mhm.
Chris Westover, the president of Mountain Empire, secured those funds. She's a great lady when you were speaking about Mountain Empire before.
And
She really is.
she's one of our board members.
Yes.
So we've also partnered with the county extension office to offer practical skills like budgeting and cooking. And believe it or not, these are some things that a lot of people have no experience with. These are much needed skills.
Based on chicken nuggets.
Yes, chicken nuggets, anything that you can put in the microwave or the air fryer or whatever. We've been in contact with the Lee Works program, and we hope to partner with them in the future. We partnered with Family Crisis Center in Norton. They'll offer additional services. And hopefully, if all goes as planned, we would like to open a small business for the ladies of our house to work, to give them some, I think, Joy Cantrell, if you all don't know her, she can actually speak a little bit more on that.
We're going to sign the lease on Friday. Yeah. We'll be opening a business in Pennington. It will be for primarily the women of Higher Ground to work in so that they get experience and that they're able to earn money. Family Crisis Center runs the Red Barn in Norton, and they have the store, the Red Door in Big Stone Gap, that opened a little over a year ago, I believe. And just in batting this around, this will be the Red Roof. It's going to be at the shopping center beside the Huddle House. I'm not sure what the name of that shopping center is.
Westgate. Minimum.
Westgate, yeah, so it'll be at Westgate. So we're excited for that, it's not only for our women, but for the county. And we're trying to give back as much as we can to the county. We're purchasing as many items as we can here in Lee County. I just left Myers with a armload of fire alarms and those types of things. So anything that we can do to give back to the county, we're doing our best. We want to see it flourish.
What will that business be in the meeting model there?
So what Mary Beth has in the other two localities, I'm assuming this will be the same. I can't promise because nothing has happened as of yet. But they sell, it's sort of like thrift and secondhand, but it's also like the Amazon returns and those types of things that she has. And then she has lots of other donations that come in. So it's going to have a little bit of everything.
Is that, excuse me, is the home open just to Lee County residents, or do you take others?
It's Southwest Virginia, so it won't be just Lee County residents. I'm not sure that we would have enough to fill the home if we did that. So Lee-wise and Scott, Lee County will take precedence. I will say that if there's two people and they are in equal standing, then it would, someone from Lee County would certainly take precedence over the other applicant. But really, I would think that if anyone wanted to come, as long as she were female and she were on the road to recovery and met her qualifications, that they would be, welcome.
And how many did you say you're able to house at a time?
We're going to be
8.
VAR certified, Virginia Association of Recovery Residents, and they have specifications about how many people per square feet of sleeping area and bathrooms. And so with our home, we think we could hold up to 10, but 10 women in any home is a lot of women in a house. So we're going to start smaller, maybe have 3 there for a while, 3 to 5, and then grow from there. We just hired our director, and we're excited for her to come on board, Liz Brooks. She'll be starting December the 16th. Yeah. And she currently works. What do you?
Is that somebody local?
Yes, she works at Frontier Health in Lee County at the moment. Yeah. Her, I think he is an officer for Big Stone Gap, so I'm not sure if they live in Lee or if they live in Big Stone.
So do you have a staff member that's in the home 24/7?
So how it will be is someone will be employed, they will work there, say it's 8 to 4, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or weekends if need be. She will adjust her schedule kind of with the home. And then after hours, how most facilities are run, someone who is long-term in the recovery or very stable in the recovery, they receive incentives like maybe a private room, or they pay nothing to live there, those types of things. And they kind of run the house, make the calls, do those services after hours.
This might be a ridiculous question, but is there surveillance, outside cameras to make sure they ain't stuff being brought in that ain't supposed to be, or stuff taken out that ain't supposed to be?
Yes.
Okay,
There will be cameras on each doorway. There won't be any, in bedrooms or bathrooms. There will be surveillance cameras on the entrance. There's 3 doors to the residence, so surveillance cameras there and in the common areas. There's a sign in and a sign out. There's a curfew. There's a drug test upon admission. There's a random drug screen, and then there is drug screen for calls.
So what's the consequences of a failed drug screen?
And they will be, removed is not a good word. They will be transferred. They will be a warm handoff to an inpatient facility is what we would hope that they would choose for treatment. And then once they complete that, if they wish, they may return again. but that will be completely up to them. It's not that we would just take them and dump them out somewhere. They would just simply be encouraged to seek inpatient treatment. And if do not choose to do that, then depending upon the circumstances, sometimes people are required to be in this type of home by the courts. So
Upon release.
if they were required to be there, then at that point, we would just have to notify their parole and let them take it. But, as far as like them being your neighbor, I know I certainly wish some of my neighbors were drug tested every now and then. So, it's going to be the perfect, they're not going to bother anybody. It's the people you don't know that you got to worry about. So these people, they will be screened very carefully regarding their ability to be there and their want to be there. We also have within the VAR certification process, there is a good neighbor clause, and our women will be required to do so much public service just as part of being able to be there. And, is it Jane Doe's sidewalk needs shoveled because there's snow? We're happy to do it. Just whatever we can do to be good neighbors, that's what we hope for. We're
Well, there's
really
certainly a
excited.
need, that's for sure.
Very much so, very much so.
Is it faith-based at all?
It's not faith-based. As far as, it's not discouraged, but I work with a lot of the substance using community, and sometimes when I talk with people, a lot of the free treatments are faith-based, and sometimes people scurry away from that for whatever reason. And we certainly don't want to discourage faith, but we also don't want to discourage those who are not ready for that, but are ready for change. So we love to have community partners at churches. Her church has been very active, and a lot of the churches have already been reaching out saying, we want to bring meals, or we want to decorate a room, or all of these things. So the faith-based community is certainly welcome and encouraged, but not required.
We do, we've had a lot of community support, especially from the churches, in the area.
We have an Amazon wish list, and I tease, it's like every day I come home, it's like Christmas. There's another gift for higher ground, be it a cutting board or sheets or a pillow set or whatever is on the list. The community has really stepped up, and we've just been overwhelmed. Our furniture, Grand Furniture, donated our living room suite to us. Zion Family Ministries, they received a truckload of furniture. They donated all of our bedroom furniture and desks and dressers. So there's been a lot of people say, yes, we need this. And if you have worked with anyone who has a substance abuse problem, you've seen them go to treatment, you've seen them be incarcerated. When they're released, that's when you lose them, because they have nowhere else to go. They have no family left, they have no friends left, and the people that take them in are the people who they primarily have used with in the past, and they return to use, unfortunately. So, yeah, a very bad cycle. So we're hoping to be of some help, break that chain.
The whole key to this whole thing, what I think, is you've got to keep them away from their old friends.
Yes,
You do.
absolutely. Yeah, there's, as far as visitation, the family will have to be approved, basically, in order for them to come into our residence. We will know who is coming and who is going. They must be approved. I think we touched on.
Do you all have any questions for us?
You got any more questions?
I guess really we're just here to introduce ourselves and to hope that in the future, that we may revisit you all and possibly, if y'all have any extra money laying around, we'd like it.
Work with you guys with the opioid abatement community.
Yes, because, it is an ongoing project, and just like the ladies from the library, to employ a director, it costs not only a salary, but also the benefits.
Yeah.
And so that is going to be something that we are, going to need to work on a yearly basis to keep this up and running.
So,
We've had a lot of community donations. We've partnered with the Lee County Foundation has already been a great help to us, so.
Have you all spoke to the town council of Pennington Gap?
They're next. They're next. Everything just kind of came together, and so it was very quickly. And so now we're just in the process of letting everybody know, that we're here and hope to be ready by the end of December. We hope by Christmas that we would be ready to take our first guest. No promises, but we're getting very close. So we felt it was time that we came out and said hello to everybody and just let them know we were here.
Well, we certainly appreciate y'all and wish y'all the luck in the world. And
Thank you.
I would encourage you to get in the line early for the bucket of apples.
Isn't that the truth?
There- Mr. Chair,
They get tossed out quick.
there may be funds that we've not tapped into as part of the opioid abatement. We kind of looked at a little bit of
Right,
that. So there's some stuff maybe we could take advantage of that we've not in previous years. So we'll look at that whenever it gets the appropriate time.
Right.
We're here and ready. Thank you all very much for your time. We
Yes,
appreciate
thank you all so
everything
much.
So, my name is Heather Krause, and I'm here with Recovery, Higher Ground Recovery Housing this evening. I'm a resident here in Lee County, and I also am here in capacity of serving as an outpatient senior vice president at Frontier Health. My office is here in Jonesville. And so we're here tonight, working and partnering with these services. They're definitely services that are needed. We all know the vast impact that substance use has had on our communities, the devastation it brings to our families, in addition to the economic impact, unemployment, increased foster care rates, incarceration as a result of crimes, the recovery housing will offer that safe environment for these ladies to initiate their recovery and to sustain it. And so we are here this evening. I represent Frontier Health, and we do offer our services in partnership with the Community Services Board. And so we will be offering services to the ladies that live in the residence. Some of the services that we're going to offer at our office on site and potentially telehealth and transportation as a barrier includes case management services, which will offer referrals to resources in the community. Someone may need to retain their driver's license, look for employment, access housing. Case managers will be able to assist them throughout those processes. And then we'll also be delivering therapy services to them to help them develop alternative coping skills to substance use, deal with past traumas that they may have experienced, and just to support them as they grow to become self-supporting and they're able to get back to their community, which is all what we all want to see. Anyway, thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you all. Okay, next we got finance, supplemental appropriations.
Mr. Chair, I apologize, I didn't put a letter in front of this. I was out today, the board package really needed to go out, and thank God for Angie, she helped me out a whole lot, but I wasn't able to get a letter in front of this. These are just three moves real quick, from one, the top one is from the comp board, the other two are from donations that were made through fundraising activities that we just need to get in their operating account.
Just need a motion to approve supplemental appropriation. Okay, got a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, next under old business, first we got the regional jail.
Mr. Chair, we discussed this. This is the jail at sent us a letter requesting the balance of the funds that were due for the second quarter. That's a little over $61,000. They were needing that to finish up the billing, and I just need approval to pay that, if you wish to.
Did we ever get the answers we asked about?
I sent emails out to other localities to see if anybody wanted to join what we wanted to. They are willing to discuss it. They don't really have much of a stomach for going too far with complaining to the state. I went to VACO, and I was going to do this as part of the report, but during the VACO conference, one of the breakout sessions was on public health and safety, and then there was some EMS meetings, that sort of thing. The state, their focus is on education, you know, with the big budget increase that they had in this fiscal year. And then, of course, some health aspects of trying to make sure that public health was taken care of. That's their priority. The problem we've got with what the state is doing, this isn't a political statement, I mean, it's just their priorities do not marry to what a lot of localities, including ours, is. They don't want to discuss the state taking financial responsibility for their own inmates that they're supposed to have. And even if you go as far as EMS, during the EMS session, one state representative said, well, EMS is not a state issue, it's a local issue, which was not met with a lot of smiling faces from those of us that were in attendance for that session. So that looks like where we are at this point. It doesn't seem like the localities have the stomach to push this too far. I think we could get a joint letter together or something to present to the state, you know, expressing their displeasure, but they don't seem like they want to go any further than that.
Well, what about the answer to Wise County and Scott County having over half of their population being pulled out since April, from April to September?
The answer that I got from
Versus ours.
the answer that I got from Mr. Osborne on that, who's the director of the regional jail, was the way that the numbers worked out, and I've got a meeting scheduled with him next week where I'm supposed to get a little more detail on that, but he's saying that's just the way the numbers work out, and they're a little misleading the way that they show.
Yeah, they're very misleading.
Yeah, what he was saying is a lot of the sentences that Lee County is getting through their court system, the amount or the length of the sentence is a lot different than what you're seeing in adjacent counties, and that's one of the issues. And then the people getting out are actually, some of them are not, they're in there, but they're in there maybe for like 2.5 years or something, so they show up on this list for a few months and then they're gone back because they're out. So I'm supposed to get a little more detail on that, but I don't have it as of, and I'll get it sometime next week. As soon as I get that information, I will.
Well, we should be able to get all that information on the length of time that the ones that were taken out of Scott County and the ones that were taken out of Wise County from April through July, where that's available to us. I mean, we should be able to get that, you know, how much time they each have. Each county has the list.
Yeah, they don't get me the specifics on what the length of that was. I'm not sure exactly how that works.
But it has their time, their sentence time on it.
Yeah, but he's supposed to get me, like I say, we've got that meeting scheduled next week and we're working on some detail, but I don't have that as of yet.
So these other counties is just okay with just dishing out this money?
No, they're not okay with it. It's just.
They don't have the stomach to.
They just don't have the stomach to do anything with it. And it's not a priority for the state.
Yeah.
The big question that I had, and this was asked in one of the sessions, was the money that I'm asking for tonight is $61,000. You annualize that is a chunk of money. If we weren't having to fund state responsible employee or inmates, and you move that money to EMS, we could do a lot of things in EMS in this county.
So, I done forgot, what is that period of time that's that 61,000?
Second quarter, it's quarter of a year.
Just a quarter?
Yeah, it's a large sum.
And that's just for 2-year inmates, that doesn't include 1-year inmates.
No. And I don't remember what year they did that, that was before my time, but they used to, 1-year inmates were state responsible, and then they decided to move it to 2, and now they
Hopefully not go to 3.
I don't know.
Well, apparently it doesn't matter how many years they're in. Okay. So your recommendation is?
I am requesting that money to pay the county's liability for that $61,000.
I make a motion, I guess we pay the debt.
Got a motion, got a second?
I'll second.
Okay, got a motion and a second, all in favor?
I'd like to say aye, but I'd like to also add that we need to make this public, that we're spending $61,000 of the taxpayers' money that we should not have to.
Per quarter.
Per every quarter, that Lee County taxpayers should not have to pay this right here.
On state responsible inmates.
But our attorney tells us that we have to. Well,
It is in the contract.
it's in the contract.
Okay.
We have to pay this.
Recommendations by the
Please
contract.
word it that way, Rick.
Yes.
The contract says.
They knew what I
you're
meant.
responsible.
It is, considering the crunch that we have with a lot of other areas, and EMS being one of them, and, you know, everybody that's been here, it is sad that we're having to write this check for something that's not ours.
And I mean, you either spend it in that or you spend it in attorney fees trying to fight it. And we all know how cheap that is. So, I don't want to vote against everybody's paying the bills, but again, the public needs to know this stuff. I mean, I've heard him complain about it now for years, and nothing's ever happened. You get to the point where you're just gonna say, forget it, it don't matter. You need help. It takes a lot of counties to come together, sheriffs included. I think ours is willing to fight it, but we need others.
Okay, we got a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
I have a question. How that $61,000 as our tax money, is that gonna cause another increase for us next year?
It was already budgeted, we were just trying to get out of it.
You want me to answer it? My opinion, if it continues to happen, yes, it will, because
Oh, yeah.
That was
Down
my
the road.
thought.
if it keeps going the way it is, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Same way with DSS, Lee County Schools, it all comes together.
But
Wouldn't it
this
be nice
year,
if we could find a profit to use them for?
but this year, this particular year, it was already actually budgeted, so
Right.
it didn't have any impact. So,
Can they increase that?
I don't think I understand the
It's
question.
based on the population of the inmates we have in the jail system.
Right.
We pay so much per inmate per day.
So the more it is, the more money it is.
The more inmates you have, you basically budget, a number is set on this is how much it costs to house an inmate for a day. And then the budget is really set on the number of people that you think will be incarcerated. And you work off of that
It's
number.
an estimation.
It really is.
What are we contributing? Is it $51 a day for inmate?
That's really close. Yeah.
But it's a no-win situation, you either charge them or you don't. For people's protection, you have to charge them. For their pocketbook, you wish you didn't have to. But
And the county does have a program that if they're, you know, like a non-violent offender that, you know, you think you can manage, we have the works program where there is tangible things that happen to benefit the county through the works program, and they're not in the jail system. You know, that's how all the trash gets picked up on the side of the road. That's how a lot of things happen.
But there again, to qualify for that program, it just depends on your charges. You're not eligible for certain charges, so.
And everyone has to be in agreement that they're
Yes.
eligible. All parties.
But this $61,000 is for inmates that should be in the state system somewhere.
Right, because I thought that was the original plan when they built the jail over there, that anything over 12 months was you went.
It was.
Yeah, and then that was moved to 24 months.
And then they,
So they could throw it back in the county's lap.
Yeah. Basically. That's it.
No,
Okay, next we got the DSS.
Yeah, if you'll notice, and I was able to actually get the CSA reports in here, we continue to work with the DSS on getting financials that are there. These are reconciled numbers. One of the things that I did find that I thought was pretty interesting were DSS and CSA are separate programs. CSA does not really fund any type of budget for administration of that program, and that is odd, but they only give that $17,286 a year. So DSS funds actually have to come to manage the CSA program, which I thought was interesting, because when you start looking at their, the labor and the way it's split out. So they actually have about 7 employees down there that are handling CSA activities, not all of them full-time. I just thought that was a interesting tidbit of information that was gleaned through going through some of their paperwork. And then of course I was able to get the CSA in there before this packet left, and that represents the month of October. If you'll notice, it kind of grew a little bit, but we're still trying to catch up at their end of the year. The county's liability for all of that, which was actually $554,000, was $106. If you look at those.
Say that again.
On the CSA, the total expense of the bills and everything that they received for the month of October was $554,000. Of that, the county was liable for $106,000 of that.
So there's not any action.
No, I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I was still working with, and they do work with me when I call down and need information or whatever. They have been working well, trying to make sure that I get the information I'm looking for. So
You heard from the administrator tonight.
she had surgery and was not able to.
Okay, no more questions on that. We'll move to new business. Board appointments, building code of appeals. I'd like to make a motion to table that.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next we got the Heart of Appalachia.
Nominate Mr. Litton.
Leslie?
Leslie Litton, I'm sorry.
Okay, got a motion, got a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Planning Commission currently has Ron Bailey on there
yeah, make a motion,
to reappoint.
reappoint.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the Upper Tennessee River Roundtable.
Mr. Chair, we put that Facebook ad out there at the request of the board last month, and that did bear some fruit. Roger Elkins actually said that he would serve on that board. He did request that that be a paid board position because he has to travel to Abingdon to go to those meetings. But said if you needed him to, you could nominate him to do that, and he would serve. But he did request that it be a paid board position so that he wasn't out just going back and forth to Abingdon those 6 times a year.
Okay, what's
I don't think, that's not that, we wrestled with this, probably Dee Dee since
It's
the
been on
last
the
board.
agenda since
I
we-
mean, me, myself, I don't think it's that important. It's not important enough for me to pay the wages to go up there. That's my thoughts on it. Everybody else has got their opinion. I don't think it's that important.
Is that a motion to table?
Yes, so,
Don't make a motion to table, make a motion to get rid of it.
Okay.
Why not? Yes, if you want to try to get rid of that, just make a motion. Just
We've
table-
done without
table
this
it.
long.
It's been going on since January.
we've been done about this long.
So is that your motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and Roger's making a motion to eliminate the Upper Tennessee River Roundtable Board appointment.
Could you add, or this guy could do it if he wants to, if he chooses to? I mean, we've already put it.
He will not.
Okay.
Well, Gary had spoke to me, he's been on this, he's familiar, he was trying to get me to get on it to help. Because they're throwing money, I might step on toes, but they're gonna throw money at that park at 606 and 421. And the county's already spending labor up there, mowing and everything else. That thing needs to be knocked in the head one way or the other, is my thoughts. And the best way to go about it, whatever it takes, but that land was donated and set up for that, I think, am I right?
Well, I guess it'll,
But
I don't know how they went about that. This was before I came on board.
it serves no purpose.
I know it used to be a coal yard there, is what it was.
Yes, and no matter how much topsoil they put in there, it won't grow nothing hardly. I mean, the trees they planted have died, flower beds and stuff, the rail, the split rail fence has fallen down. It's just throwing good money after bad, or bad money after good.
Maybe I missed something. What's that have to do with this board?
That agency
Yeah,
puts money toward those.
and hunting grant money and stuff for it.
Now, just remind me what all this, how all this benefits the county, the Upper Tennessee Roundtable.
Well, what they do, their interest is protecting the watershed from those three rivers, the Powell River being one of them.
Okay.
And they promote recreation, the clean water for, being able to fish, that sort of thing. It's really a recreational activity and conservation.
But to your point, and rather than being misleading, regardless, if we eliminated this position, we'd still have to maintain that park. So,
Well, and
I see that, it'd be just as easy to go ahead and table it until, somebody wants to do it voluntarily.
because I would say without representation on it, that may
Jeopardize us having.
keep them from wanting to, put grant money toward anything in Lee County. If there's no representation of someone
Why do we
arguing
have
for
to,
it.
why do we have to keep spending money and maintaining that thing? I mean, they're doing nothing but riding up there and mowing it, it's all, I mean, it's,
Well, like I said before, the Works Department could do that. We just don't utilize them. That's our fault for not doing that. That's a deal that was made with you all doing that long before I came on board.
I don't think they're
But
gonna.
I've said all along that the Works Department could do that. All they need is a lawnmower.
I just don't think it just.
But
it's
I
not
can
a-
see the point, maybe, like Stacy said, of just, I mean, we can table it, maybe somebody will come along that wants to do it for nothing, to volunteer to do it.
I make a motion to table.
Well, we have a motion on,
Oh.
I guess it died. I guess we'll just say that died. Unless you want to rescind it.
It died, so it's all the same.
So we got a motion to table.
Yes.
I'll second that. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, next we got reports.
Mr. Chair, if you don't care, before you go on, we did get a resignation for the tourism board. The person, Mr. Hogan was the one that resigned. I sent a email off to Mr. Shoemaker, just so everybody knows that we'll have to, that'll be on the agenda for next time.
Okay. So reports and recommendations from the county attorney.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay, reports and
Give us
recommendations.
We skipped one. I have a
Oh, I did?
resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did. I'm sorry about that. Support of Virginia America 250 Commission.
Mr. Chair, we've been requested to pass a resolution in support of the Virginia America 250 Commission. This initiative plans events in the localities. This is part of the 250th anniversary this commission was enacted by the General Assembly. It doesn't really, there's no cost or anything in this. What it does is basically free us up so that we can coordinate with the 250 Commission for events and anything that would go on inside of the county as a celebration of this. And I'll put a copy of that resolution that I drafted for that in the packet.
Okay, I'm making a motion to support resolution 24-017.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, sorry about that. Reports and recommendations of the county administrator.
I will try to be as brief as I can. We went over the VACO meeting. I would encourage anybody when that thing comes up again next year to attend this. The budget session in this alone was worth the trip. They went over what all the priorities were for the state, what they were trying to address, why they were trying to address it. I would encourage anybody to attend this. It would be really good because, you know, more than one of us went. We actually could attend multiple sessions, you know, so I had people going around getting me the handouts from other sessions just so I could kind of see what was going on in that. But it was a really good session. I thought VACO done a good job. The reassessment is going well, but it is slow. I feel like that there is no way on the planet that we can be done with this process by December the 31st. Ms. Muncie actually put together some documentation to ask the judge for a 90-day extension. I believe that we can still have this done by the end of February, but there's really no way to get this done by the end of the year.
The 31st is supposed to, that is the deadline. though.
That is the deadline,
So
but we can't.
why can't they get it done?
Well, at the start of this back in April is when this problem started. They were having a hard time getting certified to be able to do the reassessment. Dane did a lot with that I didn't do a whole lot with, but they really didn't get started and weren't legal to get into that assessment until it was way up in the summer. I don't know if they have dragged their feet some or not. As of today, we've got 6,000 of the cards in to put into the system of the estimated 22,000. All of those have been entered except for the 1,000 that we got today. They are saying that they will have all of those cards to us by sometime at the end of the month. I did the math on, there are 4 people that is working on these cards. And so I did the math. If these 4 people worked 50 hours, if we had them all right now, it would take them 50 hours before they would be done with this. If you figured I'm working on it a couple of times, an hour a day, just the way this is going, because they're actually getting paid from the assessor company. So.
Well, the trouble with that is if we go through an extension, that means that's gonna put pressure on us trying to figure out where we go to a 2 billing cycle. That's gonna put,
It is
I
gonna
just
put.
don't see how we can have time to do it.
Our
Yeah.
budget and everything, it's gonna make it rough.
It is gonna be tough. The problem that we've got is no matter what we fuss about with this, we either file for an extension or we're due to that deadline that is not physically possible to meet.
Well, if we don't give them any more money until it's done,
We can do that.
that's kind of an incentive.
Yeah, I mean, that's
I mean, that's my
Yeah.
opinion.
The county entered into a contract with them and they wasn't qualified, legal or whatever to do this?
They had qualifications. There was, to be honest, I can't speak to that exactly. There was some question about whether they were, there was some paperwork that wasn't filed with the state or something that they had to have, or it was miscoded. something like that, and they just had to work through that for a couple of 3 months before they could ever get started to do it. They were fully qualified, and actually there's new things now that I actually received an email on it yesterday on the new qualifications for reassessments, but that was the hand that we were dealt. And if we had, like I say, if we had everything in hand right now with what basically is happening is they are paying 4 county employees to enter data for them. And they're not on our clock. They're paying them a wage to do that. They're getting to work on that a couple hours in the afternoon. If you do the math on it, if we had every one of them right now, we wouldn't get done with that until December the 15th. Then what has to happen, the process of that is once all of the data is in there, a card has to be printed. We have to have chosen a date for the Board of Equalization to start, and they have to have their date to where they meet with folks to complain about buildings or something that they think was in error. And so if we got everything in by the 15th, if it only took a week to get that stuff printed, you're looking at the week of Christmas, so you can get the stuff mailed out to the citizens. So then you couldn't meet that next week. You're not giving the citizens enough time. So what I'm hoping can happen is they can start meeting with the citizens sometime that first, second week of January, get all their stuff out of the way so that we can see the Board of Equalization in the month of February. It is not perfect because to everybody's point, we're going to have to set a tax rate here in the next little bit for the split billing.
And to answer to your question, one of the assessors that had done our assessment before, I don't know if they're jointly the same company or whatever, but one of them has done our assessments in the county before.
Yes, yeah, he sure has.
Do we need to get a board appointed and for that equalization board?
We do. Everybody needs to be thinking about somebody to get a.
How many's on that? One from each district?
One from each district. And they do have to have certain qualifications.
Okay.
I will email you the qualifications that you can't just pick a random person. They have to have
Do
certain
that so we can be
qualifications.
picking our,
Yeah.
so we can be working on that.
And something that's really kind of out there that's going to have to be dealt with is the average right now is 83%. That's the average. But there's a lot of things that's happened in the last 6 years.
You saying the averages went up of property 83%?
83%.
I thought we was like 50-something% before.
We were.
Now we're at 80.
Well, we're getting more data.
So it's gonna go up?
Can we move past that?
We can, I just want to let you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be dealt with next.
The 2016 escape is down. Before our mechanic left, to be off for a few weeks, he looked at that and figured that the motor may be down. There is an issue with that year model of escape where the block actually starts getting pits in it, and he believed that's what's happening. What I instructed him to do when he got back was to tear the top out of that motor, and we'll take a look at it and see what it is. But we will probably, and this is going on what he is believing, and he's a lot smarter with engines than I am, he believes we'll probably end up having to replace that vehicle. So, but we won't know for a little while. The Commissioner Revenue copier is down. This copier is 13 years old. The reason it is down, and it is working to a certain extent, they can copy a few things, but it is down, and that copier is old enough to where they can't get parts for it anymore. Sent out for some quotes. There's a copier out there that's comparable to the one that they've got. It's only $1,500. So I was just gonna deal with that. The county's been trying for some time to correct the information concerning the account on our credit card. And I can't get my name put on it. And they will not work with us at all. And we have been dealing with this for about 3 months now, right? And I would like to get permission from the board to find a credit card.
Well, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, I can't do anything with that. So, what I was thinking is, the credit card we've got now does not do points or anything. You don't get any cash back, you don't do anything. I mean, the only real issue I think we're gonna have is trying to get a credit limit that's high enough right off the bat. So it may be that I get one and then we maybe keep that one for a little bit till I can get that amount build up to the amount that we need it to be. But I do need to terribly get that card straightened out. And I think I saved the county some money with the interest rate. Of course, we pay it off every month, but even with the cash back rewards money, I mean, it would just lower some expenses. So if you don't care, I want to do that. East Tennessee Sprinkler completed the necessary work here and at the DSS. Ms. Leslie Litton did attend the last airport meeting. That was a request. She's going to just start attending a few of those until we get through a few projects. I have not got her down there yet because there is some stuff that's got to be moved into that little the old vending area. And until we get that construction done, where we can get the stuff out of that office, I can't really do a whole lot about getting her in there, which is kind of an issue. I also have a engagement letter here for Robinson Farmer and Cox Associates for the engagement for the 2024 audit that I will need to get a signature on. And I believe that is it.
Okay, reports and recommendations of the board.
On our package C here, Alan is making a request that we make some changes to some ordinances. I mean, we beat this around the bush for a while, but I mean, it's just a basic thing. He just needs one or two things changed.
If it's an ordinance, that's something we'd have to put together.
It's at the bottom. It's updating the later ordinances. Well, I mean, that's what he's requesting. I mean, you know, we need to.
You want to set a date to do that, is that what you want to do?
I want to do whatever you need to do. He's asking for help. So we have, so what do we have to do? Okay. I make a motion, whatever it takes, that we do what Alan's requesting right there.
So in your motion, read out what you want, what the motion's for.
We need the board's help with updating the litter ordinances in the county, especially at convenience centers. Anything inside the gate is illegal to remove, is what we need to change it to.
How's it read now?
I think it's people picking up anything out of a can.
Like scavenge. I think it's
Yes.
already an ordinance, no scavenge.
But this here is where these scrap metal people is going in and getting the scrap metal off the ground. The ordinance is not to be getting it out of the cans, but this is the stuff I think he's meaning that's on the ground.
But doesn't no scavenging mean inside the fence at any time?
But I think that ordinance he has,
I don't have it in front of me to tell you exactly. I know the last time he was here, he referenced that it specifically stated it would.
but
That's
that's
what
why,
he said when he was here last.
that's why he's got this here.
So in
Let's
order to
get
update that,
let's get the ordinance in front of us and look at it. Let's just go over it before we schedule a public hearing.
Well, and I can get with Alan and see
Right.
what he thinks needs to be specifically addressed.
That's all for me.
I don't have anything.
Make a motion go into closed hearing for employment of personnel and investment public funds.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?